You know, for the past 2 weeks, News 9 has brought you coverage of an ethics investigation looking into House Republican leadership.
As the probe into alleged campaign finance violations from 2004 continues, other concerns are being raised tonight by Republican insiders over Speaker of the House Lance Cargill's relationship with a young political consultant in 2006.
And Stacey Cameron joins us with the latest on an exclusive News 9 investigation. Stacey?
Well, Kelly, last November, Republican lawmakers chose 35-year-old Lance Cargill to serve as Oklahoma's Speaker of the House. But recently, the young speaker's role as a legislative leader has been surrounded in controversy, and tonight, a young woman is at the heart of the matter. In the fall of 2006, Jeff Davis ran for the State House of Representatives.
I wanted to make a difference.
A year later, looking back at his campaign, Davis says there are a few things he'd do differently.
I would never hire her again to run my campaign.
The woman Davis is referring to at the time was a college student, a political consultant, and Republican Party fundraiser. She's also a woman Davis wishes he'd never met.
If I didn't do something a certain way, she was quitting.
A self-made businessman and a Piedmont City Council member, Davis was no stranger to hard work in politics in 2006. But having never ran for state office and needing a campaign manager, Davis took the advice of a Republican Party friend and hired 22-year-old Jessica Caswell.
Campaign manager and fundraiser.
Despite paying Caswell to raise campaign funds, Davis says she never raised a single dollar for his election.
Night of my biggest fundraising party, she didn't even show up.
And as Davis explains, Caswell would yell at him if he ever introduced her as his campaign manager.
I never understood why I couldn't say that.
You never have a fundraiser as a campaign manager. It's two complete different entities, two complete full-time jobs.
Jay Stout worked as treasurer on Davis's campaign. While he didn't object to Caswell's conflicting roles at first, he finally spoke out when he saw Caswell interfering with the campaign's finances.
She started from the beginning wanting to be paid direct for everything, even postage to the post office. That's when I finally set my foot down and said, under no circumstances am I writing a check to you for postage.
With over 20 years in Republican Party politics, Stout says he's never seen such a young campaign manager.
Any of the campaign managers here in this state that I've worked with are seasoned people, middle-aged at least.
And he says none of those managers ever asked to be billed directly for all of the campaign's expenses.
Never, never. And I've been exposed to a lot of operations, never.
But in reality, this confidential insider says Caswell was working more like a political consultant than a campaign manager. And in the Oklahoma Republican Party, more consultants like Caswell are coming on board campaigns, managing the operation, and taking a cut of the business.
If they buy media, they buy, TV ads, the consultants get a cut. If they do a direct mail piece, the consultants get a cut.
Stout says at the time, he never thought Caswell was profiting off Davis's campaign. But looking back,
since then, since I've had a chance to think about it and analyze it even more and more, yes, I've wondered. I really have. I'd be lying to you if I didn't.
Few Republicans, aside from Davis and Stout, are willing to talk openly about this 23-year-old woman. Why? Sources say it's because of Caswell's relationship to Oklahoma Speaker of the House, Lance Cargill. According to sources, the Speaker helped Caswell get her start in politics when she was a teenager.
The fact that his name was used in connection with hers made a candidate more interested in signing her on board.
Tonight, the Speaker released this statement about his relationship with Caswell, saying, "Jessica Caswell has worked for me on campaigns for several years, and she's always done a good job." Continuing on, Speaker Cargill also said he would recommend Jessica as a fundraiser to others. And according to campaign finance records, Caswell has worked as a fundraiser. In fact, she was put in charge of this PAC when she was 22 years old.
You know, because he's, the person behind it, he can put it in charge of it whoever he wants. And he's got his preferences.
In April of this year, according to campaign finance records, the chairperson for two of Cargill's PACs was a teenage girl. While the high school student held the post for only a couple of weeks, the speaker has yet to address the issue other than to tell News 9 the girl was working as an employee of the fundraising firm working for the PAC. Speaker Cargill is reportedly under investigation by the state's Ethics Commission for alleged campaign finance violations unrelated to his various PACs. And while Representative David Dank wouldn't address the speaker specifically,
we've got consultants in this state that have just gone completely out of hand.
He did say some consultants, like Caswell, are getting too close to a number of politicians inside the state capitol.
It gives too much power to too few people.
Those consultants have a monopoly and such a stranglehold on business, and by business meaning the business of elections.
For his part, Davis says he was unaware of Caswell's role as a political consultant or her connection to Speaker Cargill when he brought her on board his campaign in 2006.
A bad, in my opinion, manager.
But sitting at home now, eyeing another run for the House in 2008, Davis worries. Not about his future, but the Republican Party's, because Davis says when Caswell started mismanaging his campaign, he fired her. But unlike Davis, Cargill appears willing to keep Caswell around, and that concerns this lifelong Republican.
It should concern a lot of people.
Late tonight, Caswell released a statement calling Davis a disgruntled former client, but admitting that Davis fired her. Caswell went on to say if other clients of hers, including Speaker Cargill, were contacted, they would give positive fundraising reports regarding her work. Amy?
All right, Stacey, and Caswell still sits as a chairperson on one of Cargill's political action committees, the Republican Media Fund.